almost anywhere people live on Earth, the day begins like this. What do you think is happening here?
It's the sun, Earth's closest star, appearing in the sky to begin a new day.
This sunrise is happening in Hawaii. Hawaii is one of our 50 states and is made up of more than 137 islands. We're on the island named Maui, which has a very tall mountain called Haleakalā.
Haleakalā is a 10,000-foot volcano that's almost 2 miles high. Haleakalā's height is just one reason why so many people come here to watch sunrises and sunsets. It's a special place.
Scientists believe Haleakalā is special too. They observe the sun from here. But what do they use to study this very important star?
Well, a very important star needs a very special telescope. This telescope isn't for studying the night sky. It's a solar telescope used during the daytime to help us answer big questions about the sun.
Hey everyone, I'm Bella. The U.S. National Science Foundation National Solar Observatory helps us understand the sun and how it works. The NSF built and runs the Daniel K. Inouye Solar Telescope, which is just behind us.
Aloha, I'm Lono. Today, we're taking a virtual field trip inside that incredible telescope to see how it works and discover some of the amazing things it's teaching us about the sun. So grab your hats, sunglasses, and plenty of sunscreen.
Let's get ready to meet a solar telescope.
When you hear the word telescope, you might think of a tool like this to study planets or stars. But with the Inouye Solar Telescope, the entire building, all 14 stories of it, is the telescope.
The solar telescope is really a building within a building. The inner part of it moves, allowing the structure to slowly turn and follow the sun's path across the sky. Our first stop is all the way to the top, a place called the Telescope Dome. Hi, Paul.
Hi, Bella. Hi, Lono. Welcome to the Inouye Solar Telescope. So, before we start looking around, I got some protective gear that we wear in this area of the observatory. So, there's helmets for each of you, and a pair of safety glasses each. You can put those on, and then we can start to look around.
Why did the NSF build the Inouye telescope?
The telescope was built to measure magnetic fields in the sun. We know from the scientists that magnetic fields are things that drive the sun. So a magnetic field, do you guys have fridge magnets? Okay, so whenever you're putting a fridge magnet onto the fridge and just before it touches, you feel it jump. It's the magnetic field that's on that magnet that causes it to jump. Those are really massive magnetic fields in the sun, and they're what makes the sun do what it does to give us heat and light, etc. But we can't see a magnetic field. Like, you can't see the thing that makes the fridge magnet jump. We can't see the magnetic fields in the sun, so we look at the light and we can then tell how strong those fields are. As we understand those magnetic fields better, we can look at the sun and we can say, well, that's why it did these things in the past, and we can understand what it's doing now, and it's going to help us make predictions about what the sun's going to do in the future.
What's this part of the telescope?
So this is the telescope dome. The dome is like a really big storage building that protects the telescope itself. It protects it from weather. It also is the part that we open up. There's a big window up here that we open up when we want to look at the sun to let the light in. But what's even more interesting is this whole building has to rotate, and that window has to align with the sun as we track it all during the day so that we can see it all day long. That's why it has to rotate. We make sure that the telescope is pointing at the sun and the light comes in through the window and hits the big mirror first. So let's go wander around this way and we'll look at the big mirror. So this is the back of the really big mirror, the one that the light hits first when it comes into the building. It is about 4 meters from one side to the other side. That's about 13 feet. It's the largest mirror in a solar telescope in the world.
Is the mirror like a mirror we use in a bathroom?
Yes and no. So our mirror is 3 inches thick and it weighs 3 tons. So that's almost as heavy as an elephant. Big thing. The mirror that you have in your bathroom, the shiny bit that you see your image in, is on the back of the mirror. And so when you clean it, you don't disturb that shiny surface. Because our mirror is so smooth, we actually put the shiny stuff on the front surface. We do clean the mirror quite often. Every 2 or 3 weeks we clean it. And as we clean it, gradually over time, the surface gets more kind of disturbed and the images aren't as good. So after about 2 years, we actually have to take that surface off, we clean it all off, and then we put a new surface on it. That means that we got to take that whole thing out of the telescope and we got to take it out of the building in order to put the new coating on. So come and I'll show you where we take it. Okay guys, let's go have a look. So this is the elevator. It's a huge elevator. It's 19 foot by 19 foot, and it'll take 20 tons weight. And it takes the mirror from inside the telescope all the way down through the building. There's not another elevator on Maui that's like this one. And the bonus part, look at the view. This is the best view on the island. No one else gets to see this view. Okay, so now that we've seen where the light comes into the dome and into the telescope, you guys are going to now go follow it and go to the Coude lab and the control room and see the instruments.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Paul.
Welcome.
While Lono and I head to our next stop, let's learn more about the sun and why it matters so much to our lives. Think of a perfect sunny day. Warm, bright, and full of energy. It's all thanks to the star of the show, the sun. What is the sun? Did you know it's a star? Much like all the other stars we see in the night sky, it's mostly made of 2 gases, hydrogen and helium. And it has a super hot core, about 27 million degrees. The sun is 93 million miles away from Earth, which sounds really far. But it's actually just the right distance to give us and all living things light and heat. The sun sits at the center of our solar system, and it's so big that you could fit over 1 million Earths inside it. All the planets in our solar system, including Earth, move around the sun in large oval paths called orbits. Our year is approximately 365 days long because that's how long it takes Earth to make one trip around the sun. The sun also helps us keep track of time. Daytime is when our part of Earth faces the sun. Nighttime is when we face away. Sun rays are important. The light and warmth they provide give plants and trees the energy they need to grow. And that means food for us. The next time you head outside to enjoy a sunny day, take a moment to thank the sun for being the star of the show on Earth.
Aloha, my name is Brylan Onodera. I am a mechanical engineer at the NSF Inouye Solar Telescope. As a mechanical engineer, I work a lot with making sure that different moving parts of the NSF Inouye Solar Telescope are working as they should. This telescope actually moves on railroad tracks. So it sits on these gigantic motors that allow it to rotate on these tracks as it moves back and forth to follow the sun as it moves across the sky.
Our next stop takes us to the control room and Coude Instrument Laboratory. This is where the Inouye Solar Telescope does its most important work.
We already learned how sunlight enters the telescope dome and gets guided by the primary mirror and several other mirrors to the Coude Instrument Laboratory several floors below. In this lab, the sunlight gets moved through special equipment that allows scientists to study it, while also taking images of the sun like these.
Hi, Stacy.
Hi, Lono. Hi, Bella. Welcome to the control room and the Coude lab.
What do you do at the solar telescope?
Here at the Inouye Solar Telescope, I work as an optical engineer. Optics is the study of light, and as an optical engineer, I help design and build things that help the telescope study the light from the sun. You could really think of me like the telescope's eye doctor.
What happens in the control room?
All of the controls for all parts of the telescope happen in this very room. And that's why we have all these computer screens here, so we can see the different parts of the telescope, make sure that it's moving and it's pointing at the sun, and we can make sure that everything is running smoothly throughout the day when we operate.
Who's that guy in the Kude lab?
Oh, do you want to go check it out? Let's go closer. Oh, I think that's Koki in there. He's one of our technicians. I think he's checking out one of the new tables that we installed.
Why is he dressed like that?
He's dressed like that because Kude Lab is a clean room. Air is clean as well as all of the surfaces in there. It's actually 10 times cleaner than out here. And so Koki is wearing those clothes because that helps keep all of the lint from his clothing and any dirt on his shoes from entering that space. And that keeps all of our instruments and all of those optics free of all of that dirt, and it takes really great pictures and images of the sun so we can do our science.
What does kude mean?
Ooh, very good question. Kude is actually a French word, and it means elbow. That might sound funny to you, but actually there's a good reason. The light comes from that big hole in the top of the room, and it comes straight down and comes into the room, and it hits an optic that bends the light at an angle just like your elbow would make. It bounces off a few more mirrors, but there's a lot of light, and so we have some other optics in there that split up the light so all the instruments can see at the same time. I have an example of some optics that are like that here, if you want to take a look. So these are pieces of glass with a special film on it, and it's only allowing certain light to go through it, and some of it is reflected back or bounces back off of it. And so we use optics like this in the Kude lab in order to send the light to the different instruments.
What are these for?
These here are lenses. So if you'd like to pick them up, you can see they have different shapes. They're not just flat pieces of glass, but they actually have a curve to it, a shape. And so we use different pieces of glass like that in order to bend the light as it's coming through and going to each of our instruments. I have a laser box here that has some red light, and I have some shapes here actually that are like cutouts of these lenses. And so if I turn that on, and if you pick up one of those, tell me what you see, Bella, when you put that in the light.
It's like bending the light and like making it smaller.
How about we check out the one that Lono has and see if it behaves any differently. Lono, what do you see?
It separating it. It did the opposite of that one.
Yeah, exactly. We have a lot of different optics that behave like this or shaped this way to help send the light in Kude to each of the instruments. And that allows us to really be able to get the light from the sun onto the cameras and eventually to get the scientific images that are really cool and really fascinating.
While Bella and I experiment with these optical lenses, let's learn more about why the U.S. National Science Foundation built the Inouye Telescope. For thousands of years, people have watched and even honored the sun in many ways. But for a long time, we didn't have the tools to study it up close. That's why the U.S. National Science Foundation, National Solar Observatory, built the Solar Telescope and named it after Daniel Ken Inouye, a well-known Army veteran and politician from Hawaii. The Solar Telescope's unique location, high atop Haleakalā in Maui, surrounded by the Pacific Ocean, gives it the clearest view of the sun from anywhere on Earth. With its giant mirrors and powerful tools, this telescope can zoom in and see details on the sun's surface as small as 18 miles in size, which is an amazing amount of detail for something that's 93 million miles away. Scientists are using this amazing telescope to solve some of the sun's biggest mysteries. Like, did you know sometimes storms erupt from the sun's surface, creating weather in space, or space weather? The blasts are made of tiny charged particles moving at millions of miles an hour. Sometimes these particles cause beautiful light shows when they are caught by the Earth's magnetic field. But they can also cause magnetic storms, powerful enough to damage satellites and even knock out the power on Earth. This solar telescope is teaching us more about the sun. It's also giving us important information for how to keep our planet and us safe.
Aloha, my name is Haleakalā. I am an electrical technician at the NSF Inouye Solar Telescope. Well, as you can see, the telescope is huge and it requires a lot of power. And that's where we come in. As an electrical technician, we make sure that the power is available and safe for our scientists to conduct their experiments. Fun fact, our building used 171,000 kilowatt hours of power just last month. That alone could have powered 171 homes for the entire month.
So far, we've seen how a beam of sunlight enters the telescope dome and how it gets studied in the Kure Instrument Laboratory.
Now, let's look at some of the incredible pictures the Inouye Solar Telescope has taken of our sun.
Hi Tom, what do you see here at the Solar Telescope?
Hi Bella, hi Lono. And what I do here at this telescope is I'm a solar astronomer. A solar astronomer is someone who studies our star. Do you know what our star is called?
The sun?
That's right, we study the sun. So with this very special telescope, we get to zoom in and look at the very details of that star that we get to see up in the sky every day. So what we have here is an image that was taken by this telescope. And what this allows us to do is zoom in on that surface of the sun. But the surface of the sun is actually something that's a little odd, right? The sun is a ball of gas. Does a ball of gas have a surface?
No.
No. So what we're actually seeing is not really a hard surface like this table. What you're seeing is actually where the gas lets out all of the light. We're only looking at a piece of the sun. You could put about 100 Earths across the sun. It's that big. But if we zoom in, now this picture is maybe about 3 or 4 Earths across. And what you can see is the sun is not just a flat table. It's not a flat surface.
No.
What do you see?
It's almost like, they kind of look like little orange goldish rocks.
Yeah, somebody recently said it looked like caramel popcorn. What do you see, Lono?
It looks like boiling soup.
Great eye. That's almost exactly what it is, right? What you're seeing is the boiling soup of the surface of the sun. Each one of these bubbles, if we zoom in, is actually about the size of Texas. Can you imagine? Texas is pretty big, believe me, that's where I grew up. This is another image taken by this telescope. Again, what you see, some of the things that we've already seen in the past image, right? But the new thing is this big dark area, right? So this is what we call a sunspot. So if we zoom in now, what we can see is there's a lot to a sunspot. It's not just a black spot. It has a dark area. Around it, it has bubbles. And then it has these things twirling around it, right? So, why is it dark? That's one of the mysteries, right? So for many hundreds of years, people saw these sunspots, but we didn't know what it was. It kind of looked like a big storm, right, Lono? I mean, it kind of looks like a hurricane.
Yes.
Twisting.
Yeah.
This dark area is a part of the sun that's colder. So in these sunspots, we're looking at a part of the sun that's about 3,000 degrees colder than these bubbles. It gets so cold that actually inside these sunspots, there's liquid water sometimes.
Really?
Or liquid vapor water, just like a cloud up in our own sky. There's actually water here.
While we take a look at more of these amazing images, let's learn more about what makes Haleakalā such a special place.
Haleakalā is special and unique because it is considered sacred to Native Hawaiians. Haleakalā has several names. The name Haleakalā, it can translate into house of the sun. So Hale is house, A is of, Ka is the, and La is sun. Aloha awinala. O honey girl ko idoa wahana ma Haleakalā National Park umikuma ha. Hello everyone, my name is Honey Girl Duman and I'm a ranger here at Haleakalā National Park. To be a United States National Park Service ranger comes with a great deal of what we call kuleana or responsibility. I'm keeping things safe and making things last a very long time. What is so cool about Haleakalā National Park, as a federal site, we do come under other protections for different endangered species, plants and animals that are found nowhere else in the world. There's a very famous plant called the Ahina, which is also known as our Haleakala silver sword. It grows at high elevation from like 7,000 feet all the way up to 10,000 feet above the ocean. Besides plants, we have a very special bird. It's a Hawaiian petrel, and we call it the ua'u. What is so unique about this Hawaiian petrel is that it's a seabird. So we're at like almost 10,000 feet on this mountain, and what in the world is a seabird doing up here? Well, all along in the rocks, if the soil is soft enough, our ua'u will make their nesting site and they will lay a single egg. So it's so important when you do visit Haleakalā to make sure you stay on the trails, because you never know what's going to be on your feet. It could be an ahina plant. It could be an ua'u nest that you just don't know it's going to be underneath your feet. When I talked about Haleakalā being a very sacred place to Native Hawaiians, a lot of people find not just a connection or amazement to the rocks and the plants and the animals that live here, but they also find a spiritual connection. Coming up to this mountain for sunrise or sunset is just breathtaking. I think as people, we all have this need on the inside to fulfill that sometimes we don't understand, but it draws me closer to God, and it draws me closer to my ancestors, knowing that my kupuna or my elders came before I came. And they saw this area, they used this area. That's why it's important to me, is because this is where my people came from, literally in the soil, in the rocks. And so when I come up here, I feel much more connected to who I am as a Native Hawaiian person. And then all the more do I want to protect it as a park ranger.
Aloha, I'm Gary Candido, and I'm the Environmental Health and Safety Manager for the NSF Inouye Solar Telescope. My job as the Environmental Health and Safety Manager is to make sure that everybody up here works as safely as possible and has everything they need to do that. Safety is important because when we're young, we have our parents to keep us safe. And then we go to school and we have our teachers to keep us safe. And then suddenly we get jobs and we're working, we have safety professionals that keep us safe at work. People that are looking over our backs so we can do what we need to do and also stay safe.
We've learned a lot about the sun and how scientists are using the NSF Inouye Solar Telescope to answer big questions about it.
Now it's our turn to be sun scientists by making our own tool to observe the sun safely.
Hi, Dr. Jorge. What do you do at this telescope?
Hola, Lono. Hola, Bella. So, at the National Solar Observatory at the telescope, what I do is I like to think of myself as a voice for the sun. I get to tell the wonderful stories that come out of the observatory, human stories, scientific research stories, engineering stories, and I share those with audiences like youth, adults, elected officials, the media, TV, and so forth. So what we're gonna do a pinhole viewer. And the pinhole viewer is gonna allow us to project an image of the sun. And it's a very, very simple craft.
To do this activity, we need construction paper, aluminum foil, scissors, a pushpin, and tape. Later, we'll also need a piece of white paper, which we'll use to project the sun's image onto.
While this activity is easy to do at home or school, make sure an adult is there to help you. And when you go outside to observe the sun, remember that you should never look directly at it.
Okay, so first let's pick a piece of construction paper. Okay, so each of you please pick up a pair of scissors. And what we're gonna do, we wanna cut a rectangle in the center of this piece of paper. So the best way to do so is you just fold it and you just make a cut more or less towards the center. And then you just finish it up by getting the scissors in the initial cut. It doesn't need to be perfect. This is a very, you'll see, it's a very loose rectangle.
Like this?
That's great, wonderful. Great job, Lorna. Good job, Bella. So the next thing we need to do is to cover this rectangle with aluminum foil.
Thank you.
So what we're gonna do next, you can get the tape. We're gonna flatten the aluminum foil. Try to flatten as much as you can. And then we are going to tape it to the piece of paper with 4 pieces of tape. Good job. You look like pros. This is definitely not your first time doing crafts. How is it looking?
Good.
Wonderful.
Good.
So we need to make a hole with a pin, and it needs to be a very round. The roundest the hole, the better, right? Because we want to create something that looks like a very, very small circle that will act as our projector. That's what will be projecting the sun into a piece of paper when we go outside. And you just like, bam, that's it.
Right in the center?
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Like just make sure you go to, yeah, wonderful, great. Great. I think right now what's left is to get our hats, our sunglasses, and head outside. Are you ready?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's go. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, it's very simple. So all we need to do is try and find the sun with our pinhole viewer. And then what you see there on the white piece of paper, it's actually a projection, an image of the sun. And you can get it bigger or smaller. If you try to get it bigger, what's happening is that it's going to be less bright, but that's an actual image of the sun. This is a very simple idea, but at the end of the day, you can think of it as a seed to build a telescope like the NSF Daniel K. Inouye Solar Telescope. The essence is the same, trying to project the sun. Of course, with a telescope, we have way bigger quality data, but the essence is the same, and this might inspire you to maybe one day want to build facilities like our observatory here.
We sure had fun exploring the U.S. National Science Foundation Daniel K. Inouye Solar Telescope.
It was also fun to learn so much about the sun, especially all the ways it's important to our lives on Earth.
This is truly a special place. We hope you enjoyed learning about Haleakalā, the House of the Sun.
And we hope you had fun meeting a solar telescope up close.